Hello world, my name is Eric Vicenti, and I have this concept for a startup that I'd kind of like to walk you through so I can collect some feedback and maybe find some co-founders. So the concept, I'm going to quickly give you a pitch. I'm going to give myself a nice introduction. I'm going to describe who I'm competing with or who would be the competition and what features kind of set us apart. Lastly, let's talk about kind of what the founding team might look like. So in a word, the idea is to bring streaming features to a video conferencing app and allow distributed teams to present polished live presentations and enable the audience to engage and participate with this thing. So it's basically combining the worlds of live streaming with the worlds of video conferencing. And before we go much further, I'm going to quickly introduce myself. I'm a software engineer, I'm an entrepreneur. I've worked at big companies and I've worked at a lot of startups. I've been a web engineer for like 10 years now. I've been doing a lot of front-end engineering, but I'm also familiar on the back end with Node.js. And I've been doing mobile apps for now like 5 years. Since I've been working at Facebook, I had worked on React Native. So I'm comfortable building iOS and Android apps with React Native. I'm a huge believer in open source, and I will talk endlessly on open source. And I'm kind of from the world of startups. I'm from Silicon Valley, and I'm living now in Santa Monica, LA, but I'm kind of a remote global citizen right now, especially. So let's talk about how we're going to position this product, or how it would make sense to position this company, kind of why this company needs to exist. Because there's a bunch of live streaming services out there, you know them, like Twitch and YouTube, and there's a bunch of them, and they all have very similar sort of features in common. And there's a whole separate set of video conference solutions, and they all have all these things in common, but we want to sort of strike something that's in between all of these different competitors, because we see things like Zoom being used kind of like live streaming, and we see companies like Twitch trying to add some sort of features to collaborate and have multiple people on the stream at once, but neither of these worlds are very good at participating in the other world. So let's take a look at some of the best features of each of these sort of ecosystems. Live streaming has the ability to broadcast to a large audience, and for technical reasons, there's actually like a 30-second delay to make sure that all the audience members can receive it in good quality. It's usually controlled by the streamer, like that one streamer is responsible for setting everything up and making sure that everything is looking good at all times. And usually it's like content that's recorded and published for consumption later on. And lastly, the audience is able to interact, but mostly just with chat or emojis or Flare. Like, they're not able to call in and interact with the live stream in a very sort of interactive fashion. Video conferencing, on the other hand, while it supports fewer participants, you can have a large number of participants, but Zoom meetings with 200 people get pretty crazy. And it has to work with very low delay because you're having conversations across it, and you really can't afford to have a significant delay when you're having a conversation. So the latency requirements are different. And for the most part, people are controlling their own input on a video conference. They can turn their video on and off themselves. And yes, there are admin features, but for the most part, it's kind of like a collaborative environment when you're deciding what video and audio is being presented. And the participants, they have full interaction. Like, of course they can chat, but mostly they're on video or on audio, and they're able to really engage with the stream. So these are the sets of features from both worlds, and I want to dub like this new concept, like conference streaming is the idea, is we're going to combine all of these features and kind of synthesize them. So how might that look? Well, we're going to basically have a video conference solution for the presenters. So if you're presenting, if you're like on stage, then it basically is like a video conference solution. But that video is going to get bundled up and piped out to a large audience at a reasonable delay. But it is still live streaming. It is still happening in real time. And the video stream is being directed, kind of controlled by the presenters, so they can decide what exact video stream is being shown at any one time. And there can be basically group moderation of the video stream. So it's kind of a collaboration between multiple people producing one video stream to be consumed by the audience at once. And participants, this is where it gets fun. This is where the really unique stuff is that you won't find in either world, is participants who are watching the live cast, they can call in to participate in real time, and then they can have their video and audio streamed. And it's kind of at the discretion of the presenter when they allow people to call in, or they will decide exactly what people call in, and there will be video previews ahead of time to make sure that the audience or the presenters can preview, make sure that it looks like it's going to be appropriate content that they're turning on. And I know that moderation is going to be a huge aspect here, is kind of supporting real-time moderation, so that way presenters can produce a sort of clean, polished content that's resembling the image they want to present, but still involves audience interaction for the sort of good-spirited audience members. And the other thing that participants can do, and this is part of the sort of moderation, a participant can record a video clip and then submit it to be played live during the conference. So this is really handy if you have like a Q&A session, you want to ask some question during someone's presentation. You can record your question, and then at the end, at the Q&A session, the presenter can play the video that had come in, play the question, and then respond to it. And this also works well for kind of religious ceremonies. You might have an opportunity to provide like a blessing or something, and you can everyone will record their own blessing or record their own thing and then submit it so the presenter can show it to the live stream. And like normal live streaming, we're going to publish and record these conferences, but we're also going to record the audience interactions so that you can see how the audience was interacting at that time, not just with the chat, but you can see what video they were submitting and participating with. So that's kind of this combination between live streaming and video conferencing, is this conference streaming concept. So to get an idea of who our customers might look like, we're going to kind of focus maybe on conferences. Like there's a lot of sort of corporate conferences, like Apple and Google usually have these tremendously large conferences that they can't do in person right now. And even when they do start back up in person, they need to publish all this content online, and there's lots of people online who like to participate. So this could still be a huge market once these events are in person again. There's tons of technical conferences like React conferences. I was invited to React Europe. They got canceled, and it's going to be a while before those conferences can start happening again in person, because the whole world needs to start revving back up again. But there's tons of things that would really benefit from having an interactive experience, like online workshops and training, and then also like large companies that usually have these really large in-person meetings that are kind of presentation style meetings. Those are also moving online, and it makes sense to kind of have a medium where you can have lots of people participating in the same stream and contributing to the same stream, and it's being broadcast to a large number of people. So the next kind of group is going to be kind of like the news and online media realm. Like a talk show, for example, is a great example. If you want to have somebody dial into your talk show and still be able to, broadcast that to everybody else. A celebrity could kind of create like their own fan engagement thing where they can basically talk with their fans in a live stream fashion, so that, only maybe 100 of their fans will actually participate and engage, but it'll go out to hundreds of thousands of their fans. And you could do the same thing with like TV live viewing. There's a bunch of exciting things in this space, as well as more practical like communities that have been moved online, like religious groups. This is actually where I got the idea, because my childhood church back home in Palo Alto, they sort of went online, and now they're on Zoom. And I'm watching them, try and serve their community on Zoom, and it's a little bit of a challenge to see Zoom try to scale to this sort of use case. So this is just a glimpse of who could potentially buy this service and who'd be interested in paying for a sort of improved presentation system. So I'd like to sort of see if anyone else is interested in working on this with me. I have a lot of experience with front-end engineering, and I can do the full stack, but I am not as deep in the video engineering as I might need to be for this sort of project. So I'm looking for a video engineer, but I'm also looking mostly for a sort of business, sales, marketing, investor relations founder who can potentially do some design work, whatever it is. There's a lot to be done on this project. And yes, I'm a full stack engineer, so I can go a long way by myself, but it's really all about whether or not I can get a team together and find more people to collaborate with this. I can do a lot of the product design, but really I'm looking for some great business people to work with and some people who are really deep in video technology and who can really work on stitching these two systems together, because on a technical basis, we are actually going to be stitching together a video conference system and a live streaming system. And it's just kind of around the integrations that we build there. So this has been a quick teaser to my stage company concept. I hope you've enjoyed, and thank you for indulging me so far.